Hello, everyone. Bonjour à tous.
Good morning, everyone.
Words and for your leadership. It's been an honor to work alongside you every day to build a better Canada, and I look forward to much more work to do together into the future. Special Envoy Kotler, Irwin, members of our caucus, leaders and members of Canada's Jewish communities, politicians of different stripes, and everyone joining us here today, thank you for being here. Today's summit is important, it's necessary, and I'm glad we can all come together to discuss and identify how we can move the dial on combating anti-Semitism. But before I want to begin, I do want to say a few words about my friend Rabbi Reuven Bulka, who passed away recently. With his kindness, optimism, and devotion, he encouraged people to ask themselves, what can we do to make the world a better place? Certainly his legacy will include National Kindness Week here in Canada. But today and every day, let's be inspired by his memory as we work to build a more inclusive Canada, and may his memory be a blessing. Comme vous le savez, j'ai visité plusieurs communautés à travers le pays pour parler de notre relance après cette pandémie. Partout où je vais, je partage la vision de notre équipe pour rebâtir un Canada encore plus fort qu'avant. Un Canada avec une économie prospère, un Canada où l'on protège l'environnement et un Canada où tout le monde est respecté et en sécurité. We're here to continue to fight and reject anti-Semitism in all of its forms. The rise in hate-motivated crimes against the Jewish community in the past few months is not only alarming, it's completely unacceptable. As Jewish Canadians, too many of you have told me you're feeling isolated and vulnerable. You've shared that this spike in violence and this harassment has left people in fear to publicly and proudly live Jewish lives. Well, every Canadian deserves to be and feel safe. And I want to reassure you that our government will always stand with you against this hate. Quand quelqu'un pays en région de son origine, de sa religion, de sa couleur de peau, on en sort tous diminués. La recrudescence des crimes motivés par la haine nous inquiète tous et on va toujours être là pour combattre l'antisémitisme au Canada et partout dans le monde. No Canadian should ever fear to practice their religion. But of course, good intentions are not enough. We've seen the rise recently in anti-Semitism, but it wasn't zero before. We have seen over the past months, years, and decades, the reminder that anti-Semitism persists and is pernicious. That's why good intentions are not enough to counter them. That's why we have and will continue to fight hatred and division in our country. As you know, we adopted the working definition of anti-Semitism developed by the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, and we will continue to firmly defend it. In line with our commitment to promote and defend pluralism, inclusion, and human rights, we also appointed Irwin Kotler to advanced Holocaust education to preserve the stories of survivors through younger generations and combat anti-Semitism amongst other responsibilities. And we're not stopping there. Earlier this year, we listed additional far-right extremist groups as terrorist entities. This will help police forces stop these groups' dangerous activities. In recent years, we also quadrupled funding for the Security Infrastructure Program to help protect communities at risk. In fact, just this morning, we announced that 149 projects representing over $6.4 million have been recommended for development. This is the largest investment for a given year in the history of the program, and it will enhance the security of many synagogues, Jewish schools, and community institutions across the country. With the right investments, we will keep people safe. I remember back in February when I spoke to Rabbi Adam Shire, whose synagogue in Montreal had been vandalized with hateful graffiti. My friend Adam told me about the cameras that were installed with the help of this program, through which a security guard was able to catch the perpetrator quickly before he could do even more harm. All these measures make a real difference in our fight against anti-Semitism. But frankly, in an ideal world, we shouldn't need programs like this. Because in an ideal world, there wouldn't be any anti-Semitism or acts of hatred or vandalism or criminal intent. So yes, we need to continue to do more as a government, but we also need to have this conversation as a society. And that's why we're here today. Because anti-Semitism isn't a problem for the Jewish community to solve alone. It's up to everyone to take on this challenge. We know that these past months have been difficult, particularly with the distress and tension caused by the conflict in Israel, Gaza, and the West Bank. Canada stands firm in its support for Israel's right to live in peace with its neighbors within secure boundaries and for Israel's right to defend itself. We condemn the indiscriminate barrage of rocket attacks fired by Hamas into populated areas of Israel, putting civilians and children at risk. We remain committed to supporting progress towards a two-state solution and continue to oppose unilateral actions that jeopardize the prospects for peace. And we will stand firmly with the Israeli and Palestinian peoples in their right to live in peace and security and with their human rights respected. The implications of the conflict also reverberated around the world with an unacceptable spike in anti-Semitism, including here in Canada. In June, Special Envoy Kotler led Canada's delegation at the IRA Athens plenary. He worked with partners to garner unanimous support for a statement on the increase in anti-Semitic violence and hate speech stemming from the violence between Hamas and Israel. Earlier this month, Minister Garneau made an official visit to Israel, and I recently spoke with the new Prime Minister, Naftali Bennett, as well as with the alternate Prime Minister, Yair Lapid. I was pleased but not surprised by how warm and constructive these conversations were. We discussed our common goal to build on Canada and Israel's long history as close friends and allies, based on our shared democratic values and the many ways in which our countries can work more closely together, including on combating anti-Semitism all around the world. Même si on souhaite en finir avec l'antisémitisme une fois pour toutes, la conversation d'aujourd'hui ne sera pas la dernière. On va être là pour lutter contre la haine et la radicalisation en ligne. On va continuer de travailler avec nos partenaires provinciaux et municipaux et on va toujours rester à l'écoute des communautés juives partout au Canada. Parce qu'on est toujours plus forts ensemble. It didn't happen by accident, and it won't continue without effort. Our government will always stand with and support the Jewish community. Today, we're here to listen, and we're ready always to do the work needed and to continue taking action. Together, I know that we will build a better Canada, a Canada where everyone is safe, no matter who they are and no matter where they live, and every Canadian is an active part, of standing against intolerance and hatred in all its forms. Merci mes amis. C'est maintenant un grand plaisir que je vais céder la parole à Karina Gould, qui va ensuite présenter notre envoyé spécial pour la préservation de la mémoire de l'Holocauste et la lutte contre l'antisémitisme, Erwin Kotler.